News Talk 94.5, WPTI, 96.7 FM, WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire the job, keep the paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and with me is Brice Payne. Today we have opened up the mailbag, and we're going to take the questions you've written into us this past month and see if we can answer them. Hey, Brice.
Good morning, Doug. Usually we do this listener question on the first Saturday of the month, but because we were off last week due to the 4th of July holiday, we didn't get to it, so we're getting to it now. And how was your 4th of July holiday weekend?
You know, it was great. We spent it up at the condo with the kids, Lachlan and Anna Claire. And,
the grandkids.
Yeah, they just loved it up there because they take Daddy, which is Garrett, of course, and they pretty much drown him in the pool.
Oh, all right. Fun times. All right, well, we got back from visiting the Mammoth Caverns up in Tennessee. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've been there.
Met some friends that I hadn't seen in about 20 years up there, so it was some good times there. Hopefully everybody else out there had a good time on your 4th of July weekend. Hope you did. As we said, we're dipping into the listener mailbag question here this week in both segments. But Doug, let's go ahead and do that Wealth Guardian Service salute.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, we want to take a moment to thank all of our service members, our veterans, our first responders, and all your families for the sacrifices you make. And I tell you, it was really recently just, I think, embedded in us with that strike on the nuclear sites in Iran. Those pilots flew 30-plus hours.
37.
You know, my longest mission was 14.1, and I was just dog beat after that. I can't imagine 30-some lives.
And I think there's only 2 of them.
Yeah.
In each of those V2s. Whew, that is a challenge. All right. Well, yes, indeed. Thank you, everybody out there, for doing what you do for the Stars and Stripes. We appreciate it here, even though sometimes it's a thankless job. One of the things that we do at the start of every show is we ask ourselves, the Wealth Guardians advisors here, a question so that you can get to better know your Wealth Guardians advisors and not just think of us as some voices on the radio, but that we're real people. And here's a question we'll ask everybody, because everybody's got an answer to this one. Doug, what is your least favorite food? What makes you gag and reflux sooner than anything else?
Well, this is the easiest question you've ever asked. Without a doubt, it's liver. My mom, for whatever reason, back when I was a child, thought we had to have a piece of liver every week.
That is the worst tasting.
And the only way I could get it down was just to coat it with ketchup.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But no, liver by far and away.
And still today, right?
Still today.
Yeah. I always hated liver. In fact, when I was thinking of what my least favorite food is, that was probably my number 2. My first is gonna sound funny. Lima beans.
Really? I love lima beans.
I know. It is the texture. It is not the taste. It is that chalky texture inside the lima bean that I just can't stomach. It's unlike any other bean. So yeah, keep those far away from me. I'll down just about anything else before lima beans.
All right. You cook up a mess of those with some fat back there?
And you know what?
Oh, goodness, that's good eating.
I don't eat pork or beef, so I'm not a vegetarian. I eat chicken and fish. But for somebody who needs to rely on a lot of vegetables, there are sure a lot of vegetables out there that I keep off my list. So I need to be better about what vegetables I eat, but it ain't going to be lima beans. All right, let's get to this listener viewer mailbag questions here. And the first one we're going to go to is Shirley. Shirley's in Winston-Salem, and she says, Wealth Guardians, I just inherited some land from an uncle who didn't have any kids. If I sell the land, it would probably give me just enough money to pay off my house. Would this be the best course of action? All right, Shirley. Doug, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you haven't given us a lot of detail here to go on. I mean, it could be the best course of action for you. I mean, we know right off the bat you get to step up in basis, so there won't be any capital gains tax to pay on it. But yeah, I like the idea of having a mortgage-free home, but I don't know if there's alternatives for you.
We don't, Shirley. What we don't know here is what is the interest rate on your current mortgage. That's something key to know. Are you taking the standard deduction, or do you get to write off the interest payments that you're making on this home? That's something to consider as well. What are other debts that you might have? Is it just the mortgage, or do you have some high-end high interest rate credit card debt out there or student loans that might take priority over that first? What is the growth potential of this property? Is it in a place that's developing, and a year or two from now, it might be worth quite a bit more than what it's worth now? It's a lot of things to consider. And I'll add that how do you come to that answer with a financial professional such as ourselves is you'd sit down with us and we would ask you all those questions that we need to know so that we can get you not just an answer to that, but an answer to what your portfolio allocation should look like, when you should file for Social Security, should you be taking the lump sum pension or the income option of your pension, anything that has to do with finances in your household. A holistic financial planner, especially one who specializes in retirement planning, they're the ones that are going to help you get to the answer to this question. And it is a very valid question, and I'm sorry that we can't answer it here and now, but there is a number of other bits of information that we have to fill in. Basically, what you've done is you've given us one puzzle piece with the frame around it and said, where does this puzzle piece go in the puzzle? Well, we need a lot of other puzzle pieces put down first before we can tell you where that puzzle piece goes, if that makes sense. But Shirley, thank you for your question. And if you do want to sit down with us, give us a call, 336-391-3409. You can also reach out to us via our website, thewealthguardians.com. And Doug, remind me, how much does it cost to sit down with us to go through the planning process?
Zero nada.
No cost, no obligation, Shirley, to sit down with us. So the only thing that you've got to lose is the cost of your gas to come to our office. So maybe sit down with us and see what kind of services and expertise we can provide in improving your overall retirement picture, not just the one about the land that you've inherited. Let's go, Doug, to Pierce in Yadkin. Pierce says, Wealth Guardians, a friend at work has started trading options and says he's done quite well. I bought a book to learn about how it all works, and I'm considering getting started with it myself. Is this a bad thing for a 58-year-old to be doing? And Doug, you're kind of fond of options. Talk to us about this.
I'll tell you this. You said he started trading. I mean, how long has he been trading? Is his fortune good luck, or is it well earned? Mm-hmm. To be good at trading options, you have to be a student, almost a lifelong student of technical analysis. And I'll tell you this, 80% of long option trades, meaning you go out, you buy a call or you buy a put, most of those wind up worthless. The sell side is where you make some money. And that's what I like to trade.
The people who buy them are the speculators.
Yes, exactly right. So on the sell side is what I'd recommend you doing. Yes, get your hands on every single book you can find. 58 is no barrier to trading anything. In fact, I wish I was 58 again. But start out slow. Do some dry trades. Learn how to trade, write it down, log all your trades, then go back and study, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Here's what I'm going to look for on the next trade. And here's the other thing about trading options. You're going to be wrong, and don't get to the point where you don't think you're wrong. If you're wrong, get out. Just get out. Take a little loss while you can, because that loss will quickly magnify.
Right. And Doug, options are not risk-free. You can lose money on them even when you're doing the selling.
Absolutely, you can.
So, Pierce, you want to ask yourself, how much risk do I want to take here? How much of my monies, what percentage of my retirement monies do I want to dabble in the pool here? Be careful. Don't as Doug says, dip into the wading pool first and don't overdo yourself, and make sure that whatever risks you're taking are risks that you feel comfortable with. That's a universal statement for any kind of investment out there. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, and in the studio today is Brice Payne and Doug Ray, and we're dipping into the listener-viewer mailbag. We got to go to our break here in just a second, but let's go ahead, Doug, and do one more real quick. Britta in Danville says, my parents seem to have done very well financially over the years, but they're both still working in their late 60s. I know they have plenty of money and their house is paid off, but I think they're still just afraid to retire for some reason. How can I convince these people to stop working and just enjoy life? I know the answer to this, but
don't. They're going to know when it's time to hang it up. A lot of people work because they like working.
Right.
And in that case, it's not really work. So don't force them into retirement. They will find the right time to retire.
Right. I will add this too, Britta. If you do feel that they don't enjoy their work and that they would be happier retired, and as you say, you feel that they're just continuing to work because they're afraid, that's where a holistic financial planner comes into the picture. If they were to sit down with us and we run the numbers for them, they don't have to believe what Doug or Garrett and I are telling you as far as what the projections are looking like for your nest egg 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. That is not something that you have to take us at faith for. The numbers bear it out. And all we do when somebody sits down with us and goes through the planning process and we show them, hey, you can retire now. You could have retired yesterday, or you have to work 5 more years, or you can only spend this much in retirement. That's not us. They have to take our word for it. We show them the numbers and show them how this works. And Doug, I had somebody today tell me this, that they always feel better coming out of their annual reviews, coming out of it than going into it, which means we reinforce their belief in our system and what we're doing and the numbers that we give them. So, Britta, if you are right and they would stop working if they had confidence in their financial situation, probably the best way for you to get them to have confidence in it is to have them sit down in front of a financial planner. Let me give you our phone number one more time, 336-391-3409, or visit us at our website, thewealthguardians.com. Just like we told Pierce, there is no cost and there is no obligation to sit down with us. Even if we can't convince them of that, I can guarantee you that they will have spent in the end time that they felt was worth their time. That happens 100% of the time. All right. Well, we've got to go ahead and get to our break here. And before we do that, let's go ahead and do our trivia question. And Doug, as I'm doing this one, I'm wondering, I'll have to go back. Have I done this trivia question to you before? I'm not sure. So you tell me if this sounds familiar. It's a birth date. July 8th, 1908, our 41st vice president was born. I'll give you a clue that I shouldn't give you. Years 74 to 77 was years that he was vice president. Boy, that narrows it down for you. He's a Republican Party member. He was the 49th governor of New York from 59 to 73. He's known for being a big art collector. He actually ran for president 3 times, failed each of those 3 times. Here's an interesting fact about him. This took me a while to get my head around this. He was the second person, and you have to listen to the way that this is worded. He was the second person appointed to the vice presidency under the 25th Amendment. And he passed away in 1977. Who is this person?
No, you haven't given me this one before.
Okay, I haven't. All right. Well, stick around for the answer to that trivia question and see if we stump Doug on the other side of this quick break. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray in the studio, and the show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we're going to continue helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio, along with Doug Ray. And in this second segment, we're going to continue our discussion on listener mailbags. We dip into this on the first Saturday, or in the case of a holiday, the second Saturday of a month, just to see what questions are out there from our viewership and our listenership. Now, before we answer that trivia question we left Doug and you hanging with, let me ask you this. Are you hoping to retire someday? Are you planning to retire someday? Well, have you met with a retirement income certified professional who's also a fiduciary? If you have not, then here is your invitation to take us up on a complimentary, it's a capital C there, complimentary review of your current situation. As certified retirement planning specialists, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put together a customized written plan with strategies for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and the fees of your current plan. So if you've put aside at least $400,000 and you want to take us up on this no-cost, no-obligation review, give us a call at 336-391-3409 or go to thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. Let us show you in black and white how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. All right, let's get to this trivia question. I've got my bell and buzzer ready here, Doug. I was afraid maybe I'd asked you this before. You say no, I have not. On July 8th, 1908, our 41st vice president was born. Probably the fact that I shouldn't have given you is that he was vice president from 74 to 77. He was a Republican Party member. He was the 49th governor of New York. That was from 59 to 73. And he's known for being a big art collector. He ran for president 3 times and failed. Here's the point. Here's what kind of confused me at first, but I got my head around it. He was the second person appointed to the vice presidency under the 25th Amendment. He passed away in 1977. Who is this person?
You know, by the way, folks, I never do see these questions in advance. Brice has got this book of trivia that he grabs all these questions out of. Brice, I'm going to say it's Spiro Agnew. This happened.
But you were very close.
Okay.
Who came in after who? All right. So Spiro Agnew was the first person, the first vice president to leave, right? Mm-hmm. So who filled his shoes?
I can't remember.
Gerald Ford.
Okay, that's right.
All right. And so Gerald Ford went from the vice presidency to the presidency. So who did Gerald Ford bring in as his vice president? Mm-hmm. The second person to have filled the shoes of the vice presidency under the 25th Amendment.
Who was that?
Nelson Rockefeller.
Rockefeller, that's right.
And you never think of I don't. From my generation, you never think of the name Rockefeller as a VP. You think of him as the wealthy New York billionaire family.
Yeah, I was in high school then, and I remember watching all that stuff.
Yeah,
the name just
escapes you. You don't remember who Ford's VP was. That's who it was. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get back to this listener mailbag. Let's move on to Colin in Statesville. Colin says, Wealth Guardians, I'm worried about what might happen with inheritance and estate taxes in the future. So I'm considering purchasing a sizable life insurance policy that would leave tax-free money to my kids. What are the downsides of this idea? Doug, you are very well versed in this specific topic. Go ahead and answer Colin's question here.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that idea. Life insurance has always been used as a solution to paying estate taxes if your estate exceeds those levels.
They're very high levels.
They're very high levels right now. What are the downsides? Well, sometimes it can be a complicated process because you may have to see an attorney to get something called an ILIT, which is a life insurance trust. That's basically one that is permanent.
Yep.
You can't change it once you start it, and then the reason for that is to get it out of your estate. Not only too technical here, but the other thing about it is you got to buy some permanent policy. Term is not going to do unless you can predict the day you're going to die, and nobody can do that.
Okay. So
you've got to pick some kind of a permanent policy. Then you got to qualify for it. That's another issue. And health-wise, you got to qualify for it. That's right. And also financially, you got to qualify for it. But in terms of paying taxes and estate taxes in the future, we don't know what they're going to be. As Brice said a moment ago, the estate tax exemption is very high. I think it's like $15 million per.
So even if they lowered it, for 99% of the people out there, if they lowered it, it's still not going to affect us.
And that's another piece of the puzzle he doesn't give us. He doesn't tell us what his net worth is.
Right. Maybe he is already in that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Colin, if you want the cynical answer from me is who politicians are the ones that are going to have to change that inheritance tax rule, right? And the estate tax rule. Well, they tend to bend laws toward the ultra rich. So for them to lower those taxes or lower how much can be taxable in an inheritance, I don't think that's very likely. I don't see them too often, the Congress and the lawmakers, too often changing laws to benefit the lower end people as opposed to the higher end people. That's just my cynical view. I don't think there's a lot of risk in them changing the estate taxes to where they're lowering how much money you can give away before you're being taxed. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't think that that's a big fear. So if that really is your fear, unless Doug is right, and maybe you are already up there in that $15 million area, and this is a relevant question for you, then yeah, you're thinking along the right lines. But if for the average person out there who's got a couple of $1 million, don't think that that's a big deal. But Colin, thank you for your question. And if you do want to sit down with us so we can give you a clearer answer on that, 336-391-3409 is our phone number. Our website is thewealthguardians.com. Reach out to us via either of those ways. No cost or obligation to sit down with us, and we'll see if we do believe that going down that road with an ILET, as Doug said, is right for you. The only way we can do that is by asking you a lot more questions. We got one more here. Doug, it's Simon in Kernersville. Maybe we've got two more. Wealth Guardians, I'm retiring soon, and I'm worried about the fact that nearly all of my money is in 401ks and IRAs. Is there anything I can do to lessen the tax burden of this? That's a common one.
Well, yeah, but the fact that you're retiring soon doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be paying a lot in taxes, because those 401ks and those IRAs, I'm assuming you're not planning on cashing them out.
Right.
I mean, in my 37-year career, I've only seen one person do that at one time. But all you simply do is roll those things over to an IRA, get some competent retirement planning done, come and see us. We'll be glad to show you how to do that. One of the parts of our plan is to minimize taxes and pay you that paycheck that we're talking about.
That's half of what we do.
Yes, absolutely. So don't be afraid of you paying more taxes because you retire.
Yeah. Simon, you always want to have your pre-tax bucket filled up to a certain level. If it is filled up beyond that level, that is an amount of money that you might consider converting from IRAs to Roths. The question would be, how do you determine where that line is on that bucket? Is it down here, or is it way up here high? And how much over are you in that pre-tax bucket? That is really, even if we didn't have the software, Doug, if you and I didn't have the software to help figure us out for each individual household, that would be a tough answer to figure out. Fortunately, we do have the software that helps us with that, and we can tell you in a couple of minutes after knowing all the pertinent facts that we need to know, Simon, is, hey, your IRA bucket is not filled up enough. Don't worry about doing any conversions. You're in the best situation you can be. Or we might say, yeah, actually, you would be in a better long-time taxable situation if you converted X amount from your IRA to your Roth. Then by age 85, age 90, whatever age you want to look at, you will have paid Uncle Sam X amount of dollars less in taxes by doing that. For some people, it doesn't work out to do it, Simon, but for a lot of our clients, it does. And the question is just, they have to ask the question, and we have to run the numbers and see if it makes sense for you to do that. And we'd love to help you do that as well. Give us a call, 336-391-3409. Like I say, no cost or obligation to sit down with us. Doug, let's try to squeeze one more in here, and it's Heidi in Mount Airy. Heidi says, Wealth Guardians, I plan to retire this year. Congratulations, Heidi. And I'm suddenly overwhelmed with a number of decisions that I'll need to make in the next few months. Hallelujah, Doug, that is true. Anybody getting ready to retire figures that out. What are the most important issues that I need to focus on?
Well, Heidi, I'll just say this. It's quite common for a pre-retiree to be apprehensive right before retirement. We see it all the time. One of the things that I think eases those butterflies is if you do have a comprehensive plan. And again, I know I sound like I'm pounding our own drum here, but it's important for you to get a plan in place so that you can actually see in black and white where the money is, where the money is going to come from, how it's going to be divvied up, how it's going to be invested, all of those things. And once you see that, then I think that's going to go a long way to helping you relieve those butterflies you're having right now.
Absolutely. Heidi, your question specifically says, what are the most important issues that I need to focus on? Let me give you a couple. When you file for Social Security, you do not necessarily file for Social Security the day or the month that you retire. So that's one thing that you need to keep focused on. What is your budget? This is a huge one. You need to focus on how much spending you're doing on a monthly basis. Get that number calculated, because that's going to govern a lot of how you move forward in and through retirement. And what is your portfolio allocation like? Are you taking too much risk than what you feel comfortable with? That's probably the third most important issue that you need to focus on. So focus on that budget. When do you file for Social Security? And what was the third one there I said?
Your risk, your portfolio.
The risk in your portfolio. So those are the things you need to focus on, Heidi. But we are out of time. Boy, I want to thank everybody for recovering from their July 4th holiday and joining us on this weekend again. We are out of time. Do want to thank you for joining us. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne along with Doug Ray, the show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And let me remind you of one thing: sound financial plans do not create themselves. This is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. This is 96.7 FM WTOB.
Hi, it's Garrett Ray with The Wealth Guardians. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to check out our weekly series, The Vault, on YouTube. Find our channel, The Wealth Guardians, where we talk about all things retirement planning and cover new topics each week, such as Social Security, tax planning in retirement, and our thoughts on investment best practices, and much more. New episodes air Thursdays at 2 p.m. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when we release new episodes. We're here to help you retire the job and keep that paycheck. We'll talk soon.